All right, all right. We're back. Thank you for tuning in. Episode 2. Here we go again of the Kitchen Sink Podcast. I'm your journey guide, Mark Jenkins, aka P. And now we're going to get into our next segment. It's one on one. It is the time for me to bring on a guest, promote the hell out of what they're doing, because that's what we're all about here at the Kitchen Sink Podcast. We're all about promoting and shining the light on people that are doing positive things out there in the world. So if you are a person that is doing anything positive in the world and you would like to be a guest and promote what it is that you're doing here live on the Kitchen Sink Podcast, please email the show at the kitchen sink, and that's SYNC podcast at gmail.com. Again, if you are doing anything positive in the world and you would like to be on a platform that is going to shine the light on you and promote what you're doing, please email us at the kitchen sink, SYNC podcast.com at gmail.com. I'm sorry. And we'll get you on the show. So now we're going to go ahead and get things going with the one-on-one segment. And I'd like to bring a gentleman here to this platform I've known for 30 years. This is a good brother right here. He's doing some amazing things in the world of not only sports with writing and podcasting, things like that, but also in the real estate firm too. The guy is multi-talented and can do a bunch of different things. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on first guest. But William Martin, bringing William Martin to the stage, everybody.
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for having me, man. Very excited, very thankful, very privileged, very humbled. Any other adjective that you can describe to talk about it, that's me, man. But thank you so much, man.
Man, I appreciate you being here, brother. Good to see you, man. You're looking great. And
Trying to, man. Trying to.
and yeah, man. Just let the people know like exactly what it is that you do, and I'll let them know how great you are at doing it.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm always doing sports podcasting. Any folks out there that are on YouTube, please feel free to check me out on the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge channel. Like I always say, I'm the total sports package for the total fan. And my thing is like, it's not just a football thing. It's not just a basketball thing from the NBA and NFL aspect. I talk college football. I talk college basketball. I talk auto racing. I talk boxing. I talk tennis. I talk hockey. I talk Major League Baseball. So like we go right down the list of a slew of different sports. And if it's something that somebody feels is not being covered or not being covered enough, the door is definitely open. Listen, hit me up. What do you want to hear? What do you want to talk about? You name it. But it's just like for me, and Mark, like you and I, we've known each other, like you said, for 30 years, and we met on the athletic field. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those where, you know, you know, clearly, neither one of us are at that pro level per se, or we're at that pro level per se. Not gonna give away our ages there. But still, nonetheless, it's like you still got a passion for something and you still want to do it. And just to, give some insight into the last conversation that you and I had, is one of those for me where I'm not one of those one for the yelling and stuff. And when I say that, that's what, sports talk, unfortunately, mainstream sports talk has become. It's just like, okay, just if you can out yell the person or persons that are talking with you, and all of a sudden it's a debate and who won or whatever like that, you look like you're right. And absolute, and more often than not, the folks that are doing that, they're not right. They're just out there to play up a character. And I'm not going to put this on one person. I'll let, the fine folks that are listening to this, take it for what it is. But, for me, I try to give people a different outlet. I try to give people an outlet of sports talk, no bias. And I'm not trying to get an angle across as far as saying, well, this person's like this, whatever, like that. No, I mean, if somebody's doing something good, I'm gonna big it up. If somebody's not doing something good, I'm like, hey, they got to be better at this. But it's real sports talk, so to speak, and it's one of those where definitely go out there and analyze facts. I'm not trying to sit up there and say, oh, the Yankees are the greatest team ever just because I may be a Yankee fan, even though I'm not. But for me, it's one of those you get caught up in things sometimes. It's like for me, I'll let you into a little insight with what I do. So if did you see the jerseys in the background? Okay.
Oh yeah.
If I am talking NBA, I'm not gonna have an NBA fitted hat on. Okay, and the reason is because if I'm talking Lakers and somebody sees a Celtics hat on in the background or a Clippers hat on the back and on the background, more often than not, they're gonna judge me based on the hat that I have, saying, well, you know what, this guy, if he says something bad about the Lakers, oh yeah, you're a Clippers fan. Oh yeah, you're a Celtics fan. And so I try to do that, and it's one of those where sometimes everybody can't gravitate to that. I remember one time, it might have been last year, earlier this year, I was talking about the New York Jets, and I had a Philadelphia Phillies hat on at the time, and I got negative feedback on it because I was talking Jets with a Phillies hat on, like, and I'm like, dude, you don't understand, the impartiality, if that's a word, but if it's not, I just made it up.
Well,
You
that
know,
guy you were talking about earlier will definitely make that word up and use it
yeah,
on the
yeah.
channel he's on.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like yeah, so that's where I try to come from, with things. And my whole thing is just like I said, I'm not trying to go out there and like bring people down or whatever like that. I'm not going out there to, cuss or do anything like that, because my whole thing is this is like, we're family guys, and I feel like, if it's something where I can't pop on and show my kids, then it ain't worth it. You know what I'm saying? So that's at the end of the day. So it's like, again, it's 300 pounds of sports knowledge channel. We're growing consistently on YouTube. Uh, Actually, I got a lot to talk about with some recent stuff that happened in the world of sports just today, with the Dan Hurley news as far as him spurning the Lakers
Big news.
and deciding to remain at Connecticut. So just trying to like stay in the loop of stuff, especially definitely recent stuff. Sometimes I'll do the throwback and go back to talk about something from a different era, from yesteryear, so to speak. But nonetheless, just not to sound too long winded, not trying to take up too much time on this podcast right here. But nonetheless, just giving people a positive outlet for sports.
Absolutely. And once again, you guys, that is 300 pounds of sports knowledge. Go subscribe to the YouTube page. He's got some great stuff up there. Like, definitely, if you're a friend of this program, please become a friend of his program. And let's just keep spreading the word out there. And I'm not going to hold that hat against you one bit at all. Everybody out there, not a Patriots fan, everybody. It's just a cool looking hat, but we won't say anything about that too much more. But Will, let's talk about something. You and I, we were talking, and we're gonna actually collaborate on something huge, and I'm excited about it. Like I'm honored that you came to me and kind of said, "Hey, I've got this idea. What do you think?" And as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, this is a no-brainer. Let's do it. Let's run with it." So just let the people know what we're working on, what we're gonna collab on.
Well, you and I, we powwowed for a while, and we talked about, and of course, we're not the first people to talk about it. We're not going to be the last ones to talk about it either. But we're going to talk about the lack of black players in Major League Baseball and the drop off over the last couple of decades as far as the lack of black players in Major League Baseball is astounding. I'm not going to say amazing, but I'm going to say astounding because, you and I, we grew up in an era where, we had a lot of representation from blacks in MLB, and so it was one of those where even even if you couldn't get a crew together and like, hey, let's go play baseball, you could still be in the mirror at home trying to practice your swing like a Daryl Strawberry. You could sit up there and try to, pop your shirt, a la Ricky Henderson. And then like I knew, if guys play little league ball, like based off of their number, they would start comparing themselves to guys. It's like, okay, listen, if you got 24 in little league, okay, like you had your pick of the litter because you could say, yo, Ricky Henderson, you could say Barry Bonds when he was with the Pirates, you could say
Small head Barry Bonds, not
right,
Grande.
right. you, you you could say King Griffey Jr. We could go right down the list, and it's just like now it's just not that presence, and it's just one of those where it's something that is being addressed, but I think it needs to continue to be addressed, and like by as many people as possible. I was just on Baseball Reference's site today, okay, and if you click on leaders for each stat category, they'll have like the top 24, the pictures of the top 24 all time, in said category. So I clicked on the home runs, and of the top 10 all time in home runs, I think 4 or 5 of them are black. You got
Mhm,
Barry Bonds,
mhm.
of course, the late great Hank Aaron, Frank Robinson,
Frankie.
Reggie Jackson, and I do like somebody is like just slipping my mind right now. Please forgive me on that.
Maybe Frank Thomas.
Frank Thomas. There you go. Okay,
Part of
so like 5 out of the top 10 are black, and it's just like it's one of those where you and I meant we talked about this yesterday when CC Sabathia goes into the Hall of Fame, and I think the only debate with CC is whether or not he's going to rep Cleveland or he's going to rep the Yankees. That's the only debate. But CC's a Hall of Famer, but nonetheless, he's probably going to be the last brother to get into the Hall of Fame for a very long time because there's nobody, coming up because there was a generation, and now we're getting to the point where we can say generations, plural, uh, that are lost. And I think back to the 2007 All Star game because it was a milestone game because I know that Barry Bonds, towards the tail end of his career, he was loath every place that he went outside of San Francisco. San Francisco, they loved him, they still love him. But you figure the game was in San Francisco, and you figure in the National League starting lineup that day, it was both Barry Bonds and Ken Griffey Jr. And it was the last All Star game for either player, and it was one of those where it kind of, in some ways, marked the end of an era because we grew up where it was like not uncommon to see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 all stars at the All Star game in the starting lineup.
Yep.
Okay, that were black. Dave Stewart, Dwight Gooden, Dave Winfield. Okay, Reggie Jackson, um, Daryl Strawberry, Eric Davis, Frank Thomas, Gary Sheffield. We like just from different eras. Andre Dawson. We could go right down the list with that,
Yeah.
and it's something where we're not seeing that much anymore. Heck, even like coming back a little recent, you think back to the success that the Philadelphia Phillies had late 2000s and early 2010s, and I'm like, right in that mix, you had Ryan Howard, you had Jimmy Rollins, and of course, Jimmy Rollins was an MVP, a guy who actually kind of like tried like pattern his game after Ricky Henderson. You know what I mean? So, and it's just like that's not there anymore. So it's like definitely something that we're just giving you like a sneak preview right now, but it's definitely something that we'll be touching on much more very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I for one am super excited about doing it. Don't worry, guys. We've got tons of stats, we've got tons of information. We're doing our research. And not to mention, when you combine this man's brain of sports with my brain of sports, like I guarantee you, we've forgotten more sports knowledge than most people know. So, I'm excited, dude. Like, this is going to be awesome. Like, and not only that, but I think that this is something that we can kind of start a trend with to where this conversation is being brought to the forefront. And now, hopefully, we can get a domino effect here where more people are talking about it. Because, as far as I'm concerned, this is something that's not being addressed. It's not being talked about on a consistent basis. And to your point earlier, with that gentleman who we won't name, but here it is, a black man, probably the most prominent person in your field. You have the platform to talk about this, yet and still mum's the word when it comes to this. So hopefully, if not only can we put on a terrific show, an informative show for people to learn, but hopefully it then starts a domino effect to where other people want to join the conversation and then use their platforms to address this, because this is something that needs to be addressed. Because, and if it's just like anything in the world, if it's nothing said about it, nothing will get done about it.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
All right. So we won't spoil that any longer. We'll kind of pivot a little bit. You're in the real estate game, man. Let's talk a little bit about that. A little bit of self-promotion here. We do not frown upon that here on the Kitchen Sink podcast, man.
Well, listen, I mean, it's one of those where, I was always intrigued by it. And, as you get, the older you get, the more that the pieces of puzzle of life, start to make sense. And for me, I thought, when I graduated college, I was like, I'm done with, with all this stuff. And then but then you meet people who are evolving themselves as you grow, as you go along in life. And the saying is true, and I'm living proof of it, that, your top five, whoever's in that inner circle, they have to be better than you
Yep.
in order to make you elevate your game. And that is the truest true that there is. And being around somebody who basically just broke it down for me, and it was like, listen, talking about the game of Monopoly, and you think about it, Monopoly was a game that all of us grew up playing. All
Mhm.
right. And listen, I could tell you, um, from my personal experience in college, I'm like, listen, sometimes guys were up to like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. What I'm saying? Playing that game, trying to see if you're gonna make the other one go broke or whatever like that.
Sure.
But once you understood that Monopoly was real life, and it was like it just comes together, and it's just one of those things as far as like, understanding, financial education. And it's something that a lot of people unfortunately haven't been privy to. And I'm not here to like look down on people and say, oh, you don't know about this or whatever like that. Because listen, there was once upon a time I didn't know. Okay, so it's like for me, it's one of those. It's like I will share what I do know with anybody that wants to listen or like is willing to like hear me out. I'm like, listen, there's opportunities out there for everybody. And it's not just, it doesn't have to necessarily be real estate. It's just like, um, whether it's somebody starting their own business, whether it's somebody who wants to become a consultant, to people on stuff. There are so many avenues out there for people. And the thing is, like getting back to like pivoting back to real estate, it's just one of those where um, you just have to study like anything else. You have to study it. You have to learn. You have to be willing to learn. You can't just go in there and say, "Well, oh, I just want to go out there and make a pocket full of money." It doesn't work like that. Trust me. Trust me. I can tell you, there have been many months that I didn't make anything. There have been many months where I had a negative. Okay, and that's the thing that unfortunately, like people don't understand as a business owner, where it's one of those things where, when you tell people that you're a business owner, people right off the bat think that you got a pocket full of money. It does not work like that.
Oh, no.
Everybody is not, Mr. Wonderful or Mark Cuban that you see on the Shark Tank. There's a lot of people out there that is trying to make sure that all of the bills are paid. So they can, put gas in their car to get to and from. But it's one of those things. It's perseverance. That's the biggest thing that I would preach to anybody. It's perseverance. Heck, I could tell you like this, man. Like when I first, you and I started collabing about 15 years ago, writing, and it's one of those where, you know, I'm sure I know I got it, and I'm sure you got it from people as well. Oh, don't do that. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Oh, you're gonna do a podcast? No, 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 no.
everybody go on. What are you wasting your time for? Yeah,
But then when like with anything else, it's like when people see the success, it's like my man, you know what I'm saying? Like you, everybody's talking to you, like Denzel in Training Days coming up, my man. You know what I'm
right.
saying? I'm,
And,
I'm not Training Day. I'm sorry, American Gangster, please.
yeah,
but yeah, nonetheless. But I think for me, perseverance, and that's the biggest thing I would tell anybody: persevere. And it's one of those where if you truly believe it in your heart, then you stick with it. You don't let nobody, and I'm not trying to use a double negative out there. Any of my English teachers who are still around from school, whether it's elementary school, high school, college, please forgive me for that. But nonetheless, it's one of those. If
and Mr.
you,
Delaney right now saying, William,
oh
William,
yeah,
what are you talking about?
name for the past, man. But yeah, yeah, man. It's one of those where if you truly believe it, do not let anybody go out there and tell you you can't, because at the end, I'm living proof of it. Okay, you're gonna have more people in life that are gonna tell you you can't do something than that are gonna be the ones that could tell you that you can. And I think just segueing back into sports real quick, I think that's where you see pro athletes have their determination from, because you figure growing up
Mhm.
they had more people who told them they couldn't than they could. And a lot of it is because of people naturally just want to look at these statistics and say, okay, well, one out of every 100 guys makes the NBA or NFL or whatever like that. And okay, those guys are like, you know what? I'm going to be that one guy. You know what I mean? I think back to Mike Singletary's story. And of course, not when he told off Vernon Davis at the time in a press conference, but Mike
Yeah, have
Singletary,
them, don't want them, don't need them in the locker room.
listen, listen, greatest pep talk ever. Okay, and but basically, Mike Singletary told his story from when he was a kid and growing up in Texas. This dude, as a kid, and I mean like less than 10 years old, he had a goal list, not a dream list, a goal list, and one of those lists was to become a football player and start in the NFL. And it was just like it happened, and you see his preparation and how he goes about everything. And I'm like, yo, that's why that man has been successful at everything that he's done. I know like people might look at his one loss record as a head coach, but I'll tell you like this, it was just the fact that Mike Singletary was cut from a different era. And I think the era that he was in, they couldn't understand and appreciate that discipline that he had. And just like switching gears to give you an idea of how disciplined that he was, I watched the making of that Bears Super Bowl Shuffle video. Okay, that infamous video, and I'd watched the outtakes. Your man Mike Singletary really stood up there with a script and became a choreographer, and he was going over everything, with the guys, and they were like, "Yo, doesn't this guy realize this is our day off?" But it's just like, but no, but like that's what the great ones do. So it's like it's preparation and it's perseverance, and you just gotta when you get a goal, just stick with it, focus on it. And like I said, don't ever let nobody slow you down.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I've got a segment here on this show where at the end of the show, essentially, it's called Drop a Gem on them. And basically, what I try to do there is just some self help, something that somebody wants to maybe need to hear to help them persevere. And last week's segment was actually about the importance of self belief. and how self-belief can basically take you to any and everywhere that you need and want to go. And I saw a post earlier on Instagram, um, pretty powerful post, and Nick Cannon actually like reposted it from a guy. I'm not actually familiar with this gentleman at all, but his name is Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
And basically, the post says every successful person starts with zero revenue, zero subscribers, zero customers, zero fans. The only difference between them and everyone else is that they actually start.
Yep.
And
Listen,
it's the same boat with you, same boat with me. Like, we're no different than anybody else. Like, we all start from the bottom floor. But the thing is that we started, we believed in ourselves, and we persevered.
listen, you have to. Like, I don't know if you ever heard this story, and I'll drop it on you real quick. Do you know why the oil WD-40 is called WD-40?
No.
Okay, it's because the creator of WD-40 tried and failed 39 times
Wow.
at getting the right mixture for it. And on the 40th time, he succeeded. That is why it is called WD-40.
That is impressive right there, man. I didn't
Yeah.
even.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you think about some guys who got their starts late in life. Colonel Sanders, I think, was in his 50s or 60s
Mhm.
when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. You think about William Ford, he was on the other side of 50, with Ford Motors. There's like several other, entrepreneurs that have, gotten their start late or later. So it's just like, for those people out there who want to use the age factor. Hey, you can't sit up there and say, "Oh, just because I'm a certain age, I can't do it." And it's
Nope.
the same. And it's the same thing with like on the flip side with cats. They want to get to point Z without getting to points B through Y. And some people, unfortunately, they want that instant gratification. It's like you can't just take out your phone, break out a selfie, and you get a million subscribers on YouTube. It doesn't work like that. Few and far between. Same thing with TikTok or any other of these social media platforms. You can't. I think Dawn Staley said it best. A lot of y'all want to play in the WNBA or the NBA, but you have a playground work ethic, and listen, it takes a lot to get to that point. And I'm not even talking about this as a pro athlete. I'm just talking about being, successful in business. Like a lot of people, like a lot of those people that you see that are out there, making these big deals on TV, this, that, and the third. They're up 4 or 5 in the morning, doing their thing. And if you ask the average person to get up that time in the morning, nah, ain't happening, man. Ain't happening, man. So it's like you have to being great at whatever you do or whatever you want to do comes with sacrifice. You have to differentiate. I probably got the word wrong, but you got to, figure out what's important and what's not important, at least for you to get to where you want to be. I mean, I about 10 years ago or so, maybe a little bit more, give or take, I had the privilege to be a part of a co-interview with Mario Ellie. And if anybody does not know Mario Ellie, he was a two-time NBA champion, and he's from New York City. But the folks in New York City do not like him. Why? Because he was a part of the Houston Rockets that beat the Knicks in '94, and then he was a part of the San Antonio Spurs that beat the Knicks in '99. But long story short, he grew up in Harlem, and I asked him, where his work ethic came from. And he was like, listen, when he was growing up as a kid, Saturday mornings, he would take his dog for a walk, chain his dog up to the fence, and shoot jump shots at the park. And it was like nobody else was out there. He grabbed the shovel the court at the park and go shoot. And I'm like, listen, that's why, he got to that level. And it's not just from an athletic standpoint, it's from business, it's from finance, you name it. Those people, worldwide are putting in the work. And I'll say one more thing about that. Shaquille O'Neal, I learned something. I don't know him personally, but I learned something that he said. Someday is not a day of the week. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's like any of those people that you meet that are going to be out there and going to say, "Well, I'll do it someday." Guess what? Someday ain't a day of the week. You need to set a date and set a goal, for yourself, for everything that you're looking to achieve. And even if you say, well, by December 31st of 2024, I want to be a homeowner, you may not specifically be in a home by December 31st. But if you can look back at December 31st in comparison to June 1st and see that you have made strides
Yep.
in getting to that point to be closer to being a homeowner, well, then guess what? You are definitely on the right track. So it's one of those, like I said, people gotta persevere because it's not it's not easy to get whatever you want to do in life, because if it were easy, everybody would do it. You know what I'm saying? So,
Absolutely, bro.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, man, we're gonna wrap this segment up. Thank you for being a part of it.
my pleasure.
So we have a kind of roundtable discussion here a little bit later on in the show. Love
Hmm.
for you to come back in, jump on that. It's basically call that segment. What do you guys want to talk about in light of Cody Rhodes' promo that he likes to cut all the time? What do you guys want to talk about?
Hmm.
So would love for you to jump back on in a few minutes on that, and we can discuss anything you want to talk about. Talk about some NBA final stuff. Talk about anything else, and love to have you back on that here in about 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, sounds like a plan, man.
All right, man. I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, cool, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we're going to segue here. Take a quick break for a second, and then we're going to segue until the next topic, next segment, which is basically Kick's Corner. We're going to break down the history of the Air Jordan 8. So let's hang out for a couple of seconds. Be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to touch on the Air Jordan 8. Really quickly, a little bit of the history about the shoe, like we do in Kick's Corner. Like I said last week on the maiden voyage, we're just going to, take a little lighthearted take on one of my favorite things in the world, and that's sneakers. Anybody knows I'm a big sneakerhead. I have way too many pairs of sneakers, but in my opinion, to a sneakerhead, you can never have way too many pairs of sneakers. But let's talk about the Air Jordan 8. So here's the Air Jordan 8 playoff edition. This is the shoe that Michael Air Jeffrey Jordan wore in the 1993 playoffs. Won his third championship ring in this shoe. And I just think it is a beautiful, beautiful shoe. I'm big on details. You can see these graphics here on the midsole area. Everyone's favorite, the two straps in the front with the 23. And also that fuzzy logo here where the Jordan emblem is there, a little fuzzy fur around it. Great shoe, not only for performance, actually playing, but very stylish looking shoe as well, that you can like pretty much wear with just about anything. And Tinker Hatfield, who is a Nike GOAT in the design room, he is the actual designer that came up with this shoe. And this is actually the first Air Jordan that did not have any type of Nike anything featured on it. No Nike logo, no Nike wording, nothing on there. And he said he wanted this to not feature a Nike sign. He thought that by this time on the 8th shoe that the Jordan brand was strong enough to hold its own. And he brought this up to Nike and they were like, we don't know. And then finally they went ahead, they bit the bullet, they did it. They trusted in him to not feature the Nike sign. After they pretty much laughed in his face. They said no one will even notice the original. They won't notice the shoe originally. They won't kind of say, hey, this is great, but laugh in his face, this became a very popular shoe. There is a lot of talk with sneakerheads and basketball players that really enjoyed this shoe. The design was crazy. It's got a polycarbonate torsion plate. And the colorways originally came in 3 colorways. You had a original white with red and black that he first wore. And then you had a black with a turquoise kind of aqua color along with purple, which was very popular. I'll never forget, this was the first pair of Air Jordans that I owned, that particular colorway. And I made a deal with my mom to where if I could hustle up half of the money for it, she would contribute the other half for me. She, $60 was about the going rate of what the budget was for a kid's shoe in the early 90s. And, this had a ticket of $125 when it first came out. So I was like, hey, Mom, if you got $60, I got $60. Can I get this shoe? So I'll never forget that year. I shoveled snow, took out trash for people, did whatever I could do to hustle up that $60. And that was my first pair of Air Jordans. So this will always be a special shoe to me. Like I said, I think it's the best Air Jordan, in my opinion, ever made, probably because I have that sentimental tie to it for it being the first pair of Jordans that I owned. Couple of things about the shoe also. The straps, which were called bunny ears, it made the shoe tight on the side so people with wide feet could kind of have their shoes, their foot locked in there a little bit better. But it's funny because in Brooklyn growing up, nobody strapped the straps. We kind of always wore them kind of hanging out just for aesthetic reasons. And it just looks pretty cool. So again, one more time, give it a look-see. Shout out to the Air Jordan 8, in my opinion, the best Air Jordan ever made. So we're going to take a quick break again really quickly, guys, and then we will transition into our next segment. What do you want to talk about? Just give us 2 seconds. We'll be back. All right, guys, we're back. Kitchen Sink Podcast, your journey guide, Mark Jenkins, aka P. And now we are going to tap into our next segment here. One of my favorite segments here, a little roundtable discussion. And I'm going to let my man, undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes, tell you anything. All right. So I'm going to bring Will back in. And we're going to just, talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We may have a couple people else joining this roundtable discussion. So, Will, let's kick things off with you, man. What do you want to talk about, man? In the words of the WWE and undisputed champion.
Well, for me, it would have to be what I'm going to go on limb and say is the biggest sports topic of the day, and we knew that it was going to be the biggest sports topic of the day, and that is Dan Hurley, saying, you know what, yeah, not like to quote, Antonio Cromartie, yo, we straight. And for me, people should have been paying attention to the tea leaves, because as soon as it came out today that he was going to have a press conference in stores, you kind of knew what was coming. And honestly, even before that, he met with the Lakers out in LA on Friday. And the fact that he went back home without signing the contract, I think right there, should have been some insight for a lot of people to figure out, you know what, this man's not coming here. And I think honestly, I think Dan Hurley staying in Connecticut was best for all parties involved, because Dan Hurley at his heart is a college coach. Okay. And I think he's better suited for the college game. I can't imagine, Dan Hurley coming into a practice and wanting LeBron and AD to run suicides and run the stairs. And like, listen, I can't envision that. And then I can't envision Dan Hurley, like these guys telling Dan Hurley, nah, we good tonight. We need some load management or whatever like that. Nah, listen, Dan Hurley at his epicenter, he's a Northeast guy. Okay. He's a Jersey City guy, Jersey City tough. Okay. And, he has that Jersey City swag about him. And he has a New Jersey swag about him, period. Okay.
Yep.
And, you look at all of his stops, coaching, Wagner, which is in Staten Island. You have Rhode Island, okay, now Connecticut. He's a Northeast guy. He met his wife at Seton Hall, where he played college ball at, okay. And the thing is like one of the biggest reasons why he turned down Kentucky was that his wife, didn't want to go there because she's happy in the Northeast. All of the family is there, and it's like for some people, when you grow up in a certain region of the country, whether you grow up in a certain region of the world, home is home. Okay. And Dan Hurley's not LA. Dan Hurley's not Hollywood. That's not, his DNA. It's kind of like saying, okay, we're going to go back and do a swap. We're going to put Magic Johnson on the Celtics, and then we're going to put Larry Bird on the Lakers. It wouldn't have worked.
No way in hell that would have worked, man. Like, I can't even imagine Magic playing late 70s, early 80s in Boston, and that racial tension and all of that. And then legend, the hick from French Lick, going out there in LA, Showtime, and he's like, man, I don't want parts of clubs or anything like that.
Listen, it would not have worked. And that's the same thing I think with Dan Hurley. I think Dan Hurley is, perfect for where he's at. I know some people are like, well, he wants to try the NBA at some point. Listen, how many college coaches have we seen go on and have success in the NBA? Okay. No, you know what I'm saying? Because the college game from like where's the pro game is totally different. Dan Hurley basically at this point really doesn't have to answer to an AD because the AD loves Dan Hurley.
Right.
So
he's won 2 championships. So I mean, he's written his own ticket at this point.
Right. And like, I mean, listen, you bring in a guy like Dan Hurley to the Lakers for the sake of argument. Dan Hurley's going to want some say in personnel decisions. Okay. And I don't see Rob Pelinka being willing to relinquish some of that power. You know what I'm saying?
Nor late GM. I don't think
No,
GM is going to relinquish his power either.
no. So it's like, I mean, it's one of those where I think, and I'm actually going to talk about this on my podcast later. It's one of those, well, shameless plug, but it's one of
Away.
it's one of those for me where I think this is like a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think this is the Lakers trying to say we did our due diligence. So when they actually do hire JJ Redick, they don't look as bad. But honestly, the Lakers have become a joke. I know friends, okay, who are lifelong LeBron fans who have come out and said, listen, if the Lakers sign JJ Redick, I am done. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, these are diehard. LeBron's better than Jordan. You know, LeBron is the ultimate GOAT, you name it, fans. And they are like, you know what? If they get JJ Redick, I am done. The Lakers have become an absolute joke.
They have. I mean, if you look at the coaching carousel, so to speak, that has gone on over the past, let's just call it even 5 or 6 years. I mean, Frank Vogel wins that bubble chip, and he's gone not long after that. And who's that? Who's after him before Darvin Ham? I can't remember right now.
It was all right. It was Luke Walton, Frank Vogel. There was somebody.
Somebody in between Vogel and Ham. But anyway, he had a winning record. They sent him walking. Then Darvin Ham posts 90 wins in 2 seasons. He gets his walking papers. It's like, what exactly is it that they're looking for with, just getting these coaches out of here? And it's not the coach's fault, because you got Mr. Glass, aka Anthony Davis, who, breaks a nail and he's out for 2 weeks. You've got him being essentially the cornerstone of your team now, with LeBron getting up there in age. And you've only got him for maybe 45, 55 games a year if you're lucky. What do they expect these coaches to do? Like, what type of mountains do they expect them to move with just shipping them in and out like this? I mean, anybody knows you have to have stability. And this is any organization. This is not just sports. This is in the business world. This is any way you look at it. If there's not stability at the top, how the hell do they expect anything else to happen without that stability? And we've got another entrant into the roundtable, so I'm going to add him on. This is Jay, and we're talking about the Lakers, the coaching carousel that is the Lakers, man. You got anything you'd like to add on that?
Shit. What y'all said already is the question.
So we're just basically talking about Darren Hurley, telling them thanks but no thanks. I'm all good. I'm going to stay here at UConn. And just the carousel of coaches that they've had, from Frank Vogel.
He turned down a lot of money, right?
He turned down 6 years, $70 million. Yeah, he turned down the opportunity to get his first professional head coaching job and being a top 5, top 6 paid guy already.
That's a lot. I don't know how I feel about that. That's a lot of money to turn down.
Like, not only are you turning down essentially a promotion, but also a promotion with a raise.
That means you really don't want that job.
Exactly.
Like, you really don't want that job.
And I can't blame him, man. I mean, it's crazy to think, what they're putting him through. And he's probably thinking, all right, I'm going to move my family from Connecticut all the way to LA. To Will's point, don't want to necessarily be there anyway, because this is not the cloth that I'm cut from. Got to do the whole thing of uprooting the family, changing lifestyles, changing schools for the kiddos, all of that kind of stuff, only to possibly get fired next year or the year after, even after doing a pretty good job at my job. That's rough.
The thing about coaching, if you do it, like, if they fire you, you still get paid your full bread.
In most situations, yeah. But my dad used to say all the time, and it's funny, it just kind of popped into my head. Coaches get hired to get fired.
Okay.
So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, like, I mean, with JJ Redick being the guy that they've tabbed all along, I mean, I've got mixed feelings on that, because I always think it's interesting when you have so many veteran head coaches on the free agent market and really not doing anything that could come in and become a head coach for a new organization. It's always funny to me where there's always this one hot newcomer that they always want to kind of plug in. And JJ Redick seems to be that guy now. And I'm not knocking the guy at all because this guy's basketball knowledge is.
I'm knocking.
But you said you're knocking him?
I'm knocking him. I'm knocking his hustle, man, because they only trying to go after him because him and LeBron got a little podcast together, and that's part of it. And the thing is, now that you done said all that, I'm starting to think this whole hiring the UConn guy, that was bait. They knew he wasn't going to take it. They put it out for the media to say we trying to get a real coach, but we're going to do what LeBron told us to do in the first place.
Yeah, Will literally just said that about 5 minutes ago.
See, look, that's why I asked what y'all said already. You know what I mean? But
yeah, like, Will, you want to piggyback on that real quick?
Listen, I mean, my thing is like you listen to the reports from the other day, and it was like, well, like the reports are coming out. Well, Dan Hurley was the Lakers' like top choice all along, but like it never added up because they fired Darvin Ham on May 3rd. So if you fired Darvin Ham on May 3rd, why are the reports just coming out that you're bringing this guy in to interview him a month later? If you fired Darvin Ham on May 3rd, by May 6th, the latest, you know what? Y'all need to be sending the charter jet out there to stores and like, you know what? You hop on this plane, come back to LA, let's talk. You know, so like that part of it, I don't get, but it's just one of those. I think Dan Hurley to me pimped the Lakers so he could pimp UConn out of getting more money because he had just signed a new deal last year. Okay. Yeah. And he was about
like $32 million, I think.
Right. And he was about to get a new deal once the Kentucky rumors started. So now he's probably going to squeeze some more coins out of Connecticut. And honestly, he's going to get it because today on social media, the governor of Connecticut, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but the governor of Connecticut was on Twitter talking about our coach is back. Okay. So when the governor of the state that your basketball team plays in comes out and says that, bro, you are about to get paid. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Connecticut is a state school, you know, for that state. I'm not sure, but if they are, I guarantee you, you know, like he's about to get paid. And honestly, for me, my biggest thing is, what does this say about the Lakers and what does this say about LeBron? Because we're talking about you fired Darvin Ham 5 weeks ago. Darvin Ham shouldn't have been fired. Whole nother story for a whole nother day. But you fired Darvin Ham 5 weeks ago, and you still don't have a head coach. I mean, listen, let's be real here. At the very most, the NBA season is going to be done in about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Okay, draft camps are going to be here. You know, free agency is going to be starting soon. The 4th of July is going to be here before you know it. And of course, the 4th of July and free agency and the start of free agency in the NBA are synonymous. They're kind of linked with each other.
Yep.
And we're talking about one of the NBA's most marquee franchises, and we're talking about one of the top players of all time. And y'all can't get a coach to coach this guy. And I think the fact that they moved on from Darvin Ham was very telling. And I know Darvin Ham didn't have that quote unquote championship resume, but I'm like, listen, that dude turned water into wine last year. They got to the Western Conference Finals with a team that had no business being in the Western Conference Finals. And I said this when they fired Darvin Ham. Okay, you got swept by the Nuggets last year in the Western Conference Finals. You came back with the same exact team, and y'all expected different results this time around. Y'all still didn't have anybody to stop Nikola Jokic. Y'all still didn't have anybody to check Jamal Murray, and you're mad because you got swept. Had a better record this year, okay? Won that garbage in-season tournament. You know what I'm saying?
Banner number 19.
Right. Right. You know what I mean? And it's just like, then you're kind of like, well, you know, thanks for participating. You know, we got some parting gifts for you. You know, pack up your stuff and go. So it's, you know, nobody wants to be bothered with that. Because, I mean, I think the next head coach for LeBron is going to be, what, 9th, 10th, or 11th guy? I'm not sure.
Some ridiculous number like that.
Right. And I'm like, bro, it's like you know, wow. I mean, listen. I'll say this because I'm not trying to monopolize, this piece right here, but it's one of those for me. The LeBron fans might not want to hear it, but LeBron is a coach killer. LeBron always has been uncoachable, in my opinion, because LeBron has never taken the time to learn a system, and that goes back to prior to him coming to the NBA. And any head coach that has ever tried to hold LeBron accountable has been dealt with as far as losing their job. The only one that didn't lose their job was Eric Spoelstra because Pat Riley wasn't going for it. I remember when LeBron first came to the Lakers, Luke Walton's trying to call a play in the huddle. LeBron sitting over there at the end of the bench pouting. I'm like, bro, come on, really? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I couldn't feel sorry for LeBron because listen, you knew who the coach was before you signed the contract there. You could have gone to any team that you wanted. Okay, but you decided to go there. Same way he got to Cleveland, started criticizing David Blatt.
Yeah, look at that David Blatt situation. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
fire a guy with that type of record.
Yeah.
Fired him. Like that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know it's a players' league, but at the end of the day, it's that, and I had this conversation with my homie. It's that video game mentality. You figure, all right, bet you can just put it together very easily in real life like it is on a video game. The video games are set up for you to win. Okay, whether it's 2K, Madden, all of that stuff. Winning championships and putting together a championship organization ain't easy. You can't just sit up there and put water in a pot and mix it and okay, we got a championship. It don't work like that. But I mean, you figure, okay, I don't like this guy, let's trade him. I don't like that guy, let's trade him. And you look at some of those young guys and those young picks that LeBron mortgaged when he first got to the Lakers. It worked out the first year, okay, when they got that championship. But you think about it, he wanted all of that bread, he got all of that bread. But in the process, there's no more Rondo. You had Dwight Howard, you had JaVale McGee, you had rim protectors, and you had bodies to throw at a guy like Nikola Jokic. They had KCP on that team. KCP was one of the better perimeter defenders. But now, AD and LeBron by themselves take up so much space as far as the salary cap goes. You can't pay nobody else. So it's like I like real quick, and I'm gonna pass it off after this. I was just gonna say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. LeBron wants to be the highest paid, but guess what? With that salary cap and that luxury tax, rather, all owners don't want to pony up that bread. So it's either you sacrifice something, in order to go out there and get that chip, and LeBron don't want to do it.
No, totally agree with you. Like he's got to take a page out of Tom Brady's book and take a little bit of a hometown discount if you want to surround yourself with the right pieces to compete for a championship every single year. So I actually heard interesting take last week. Don't remember what day it was, but I was just caught a little bit of Nick Wright and Chris Broussard on FS1 talking about this. And I want to pose this question to both of y'all. And I'll start with you, Jay, on this. Just give me your feedback on this. They made a proposition to say, hey, how about let's get some old school Bill Russell type thing going and have LeBron as player coach. What do you guys think about that?
Good shit. That's what he want to be the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
That's what he want to do.
Lay GM, lay MVP. He wants to be all of that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think JJ Redick, because they're gonna bring in JJ Redick. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. All right, JJ Redick is gonna be he's gonna be operating as LeBron. LeBron's gonna be pulling the strings in the background because it's like, listen, that's his boy. They do the podcast, so everything that JJ Redick says is going to be courtesy for LeBron. That's all. That's all.
So you're posing he's going to be essentially a figurehead.
He's a mouthpiece. That's all it is.
And now we can now add another lay to LeBron's titles and call him lay puppet master.
Well, Udonis Haslam was saying that ain't nobody gonna respect JJ like that.
I can see it definitely because I mean, again, the guy's got a brilliant basketball mind. I'm not taking anything away from him when it comes to that, but being that he's LeBron's guy, I don't even know how they became guys. Did they play together anywhere? I'm trying to think.
No, because you figure JJ Redick was Orlando, Milwaukee.
Yeah, they didn't play together.
I'm trying to think because I think JJ Redick played in Philly, so
That's what I think he ended his career was Philly.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those where like they played against each other, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, JJ Redick is no dummy. I can't even say he said stupid stuff. It's just the fact of like you and I talked about earlier, where like guys will say things just to get themselves out there. And I think that whole, plumbers, comment was stupid, number one, but he was just doing it to try to put himself out there. I mean, it was a ridiculous take, you know what I'm saying? But he's gonna go out there and say and do whatever LeBron wants. And at the end of the day, that's all LeBron wants. LeBron has not been serious about winning championships since that bubble chip. It's all about, padding his stats right now. He's the, all NBA's all-time leading scorer. And it's one of those where his next step is just to play with his son. This is what I would do, because the Lakers are pegged to, like, I think they have the 55th overall pick in the second round, and a lot of people are expecting them to use that pick on Bronny. My thing is this: if I'm another team, I take Bronny earlier, and I'm saying, okay, how bad do you want him?
Dangle the carrot. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
not a bad move at all. So I appreciate you guys.
But Bronny not gonna go. Did y'all see he already turned down like 10 workouts?
Yeah. Hey, listen.
He's only working out with Phoenix, LA, and Utah, I think.
Hey, listen. But my thing is this though: you could still own his draft rights. So at the end of the day, hey, I could waste a second round pick if you're an OKC who has like 20 picks, so to speak. I'm like, bro, you could waste a second round pick. I'm like, you know what? I own your draft rights, man. So I'm like, yo, if we can't work out some compensation that benefits me, you ain't playing in the league, man. That's it.
Roll the dice and see what you got. I mean, second round picks, they're in my opinion, they're there to kind of be wasted and see what you can possibly get. Very rarely do we see some people, Jokic, Tony Parker, Ginobili, those guys that actually, do something from coming out of the second round. Draymond Green, give or take,
right
opinion on that guy. But
did y'all talk about Draymond and Embiid fight?
Huh?
I heard Draymond and Embiid got into a fight. I said Draymond got a weird training regimen in the offseason.
Like a physical altercation?
Yeah, in the club somewhere.
No war of words? Wow, I didn't even hear about that.
Next episode, you got to see what's up with that.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of research on that this week and see.
I'll say this real quick on it. Draymond does what he does because he can get away with it. Because if you've noticed, Draymond has never stepped to anybody who's real. Because I would love to see Draymond step to Bobby Portis and try any of that. I would love to see Draymond step to Boogie Cousins.
Step to a 55-year-old Charles Oakley.
Nah, yo, he don't want that.
Don't none of them want it with my boy Bloodsport, man. My boy Bloodsport James Johnson.
No.
They don't want it with Bloodsport.
Is the craziest dude in the NBA when it comes to hand skills, man.
Yeah. So the Draymond acts tough, but he's kind of more like he's tough like the schoolyard bully. You know what I'm saying?
Choke out Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, listen, Rudy Gobert ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, listen, Rudy Gobert got
croissants, maybe.
Listen.
I was actually cheering for him when he choked out Gobert. Man, Gobert gave the whole NBA COVID. He deserved it.
Well, I mean, it's all good because I mean, shoot, Draymond cooked them that night, and then Luka just put Rudy in a blender. in the Western Conference Finals, man. So,
all right, fellas, I appreciate you guys tapping in this week. We're gonna go ahead and end this segment, and then we're gonna drop a gym kicked off, educate the people on some helpful self-advice, and then end this thing. So again, I appreciate you guys. Everybody listening, please tune in to both of them respectively on their platforms. 300 pounds of sports knowledge for Will, adifferentworld.com for Jay. They've got some amazing things on both of their things that they're bringing forward, and I appreciate the hell out of you guys, and hope you guys have a great rest of your evening and a great week, okay?
Be safe, man. It was a pleasure as always, man. Thank you so much, man.
All right, bro. Take care. All right, all right. So now we're gonna go ahead and let Havoc play his music here in the background. We're gonna drop a gem on. All right, drop a gem on him. This is the segment where I like to just basically, give whoever's listening a little bit of advice, a little self help, and there's nothing wrong with self help. There's nothing wrong with learning something from someone and kind of implementing it into your life because we're all striving to be better people. And if I can just touch one person out there in a way that it will help them in their day to day business world, financial, whatever, any type of way I can help. I like to consider myself a helpful person. It's something that I do. My love language is actually doing stuff and helping people. So that's what I want to do. And today's topic is going to just basically talk about depression and anxiety, a little bit of the differences and similarities. So there's a strong link between depression and anxiety. Around 45.7% of people with major depressive disorder, commonly known as depression, also experience one or more lifetime anxiety disorders. There's no evidence to show that one disorder causes the other. However, there is evidence to show that many people experience both disorders and many times simultaneously. Many people who experience depression have a history of anxiety disorders. So, depression. Here's some of the symptoms of depression and anxiety. Depression and anxiety are separate conditions with different symptoms. However, they also share overlapping symptoms. So, a clinical diagnosis of depression requires several of the following symptoms, and these symptoms must occur persistently for nearly every day in a 2-week period. And that criteria includes feelings of sadness, anxiety, or emptiness, hopelessness or pessimism, irritability, frustration or restlessness, worthlessness, guilt, or helplessness. In addition to feelings, a depression diagnosis requires several of the following behaviors: decreased interest in hobbies or activities, fatigue or low energy, difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions, insomnia or difficulty sleeping, changes to your appetite, unexpected weight changes, aches, pains, or headaches. These are some of the main symptoms of depression. So, honestly, before I even continue, I'm just going to say if you are experiencing any of these symptoms and you are feeling overwhelmed to the point where you are considering suicide, please call 911 immediately or also contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline because we need you. Even though you may feel at this moment that we don't need you as a human race, please listen to me. We need you. We need your spirit. We need your energy. We need your contributions to life. So please contact those. Now, anxiety. Anxiety disorders typically involve persistent feelings of dread or worry. Anxiety can last for months, years, or a lifetime, and it often interferes with daily life. Symptoms of anxiety disorders can include restlessness, such as feeling wound up or constantly on edge, frequent fatigue, difficulty concentrating, irritability, difficulty managing your feelings of worry, sleep issues such as difficulty falling or staying asleep, aches, pains, or headaches. Now, here are some of the key overlapping symptoms between these two. And I'm getting all of this from CNN and the health guidelines that they have laid out there to anxiety and depression and treatment for this. So this is not me creating this. This is actual factual stuff. But the overlapping symptoms of depression and anxiety include fatigue, difficulty concentrating, sleep issues, aches, pains, and headaches, and irritability. I implore anyone listening, if you're experiencing any of these, please talk to someone. Don't be afraid to talk to someone. We're all here to help each other. If it's not someone professionally, because maybe you're a little bit afraid to seek that help, at least talk to a trusted loved one, a friend, family member, whoever it may be. Excuse me, still getting over that cold from last week. But please talk to someone that can possibly help you with this, because again, like I said, we need you. You're important, you matter. So talk to someone that can possibly help you, because you never know. You can be going through this now and have someone help you get out of it, and then be in a position later on in life to maybe a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, help someone out that's also going through something similar. So please go to CNN.com, learn more about this. Go to any trusted source on the web and learn more about this. And really, try to make a difference within yourself. So then ultimately you can make a difference with someone else. Because that's what this is all about. Just one big human race helping each other. And that's that right there. Thank you for joining us on episode 2 of The Kitchen Sink. Here we go again. Big shout out to William Martin and 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge for not only being our one-on-one guest, but also joining us in the roundtable. Big shout out to This Is Jay for making the theme song for Kitchen Sink. And also shout out to his platform, adifferentworld.com. Please go check those brothers out. They're doing amazing, wonderful things. And I thank you for tuning in here. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend as we continue to grow this thing organically from the bottom. And I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'm going to play that wonderful theme song that This Is Jay created for the show. And this is Mark Jenkins, a.k.a. P, your journey guide, signing off. Peace.